next what could be a heavyweight title fight for the ages between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier.
Hey guys, my name's Connor from UK Game Bureau. Welcome to our EA Sports UFC 3 simulation and prediction of Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. So first we're going to have a look at Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic, by the record book, is the most successful UFC heavyweight of all time. He is the only heavyweight to ever win the title and defend it 3 consecutive times. He is, in my mind, the greatest heavyweight there has ever been. He's currently on a 6-fight win streak. He has beat all 6 of these fighters in this order. Mark Hunt by TKO, Andrei Arlovski TKO, Fabricio Verdum knockout, Alistair Overeem knockout, Junior Dos Santos TKO, and Francis Ngannou decision. Now that is one of the greatest mini records we have seen ever. The fact that he has not only beaten all 6 of those guys, but he actually knocked out 5 of them, with 4 of them actually being in the first round as well. It's just absolutely incredible and really shows just how good Stipe is. And it's worth knowing in the Ngannou fight, the Dos Santos fight, and the Verdum fight, and the Arlovski fight, and the Mark Hunt fight, he really suffered no adversity either. The only one he suffered any adversity in was the Overeem fight where he was dropped early, but he eventually went on to win that fight anyway. Which shows that even if he's in trouble, if he's rocked, he can still get out, recover, and get a finish. Now while Stipe's 18 wins, 14 of them have been by knockout. So as you can see, being a big guy, heavyweight as well, mainly a striker, his main method to victory is to keep it on the feet and knock you out. Stipe also wrestled during high school at a relatively high level. He doesn't use offensive wrestling too much. Of course he did in the Ngannou fight, but before that he never really used it. But in this fight he's going to have to use his wrestling definitely defensively against DC, who is of course an Olympic wrestler, but more on him later on. Stipe is going to be the taller guy, he's going to have more reach, but he might not necessarily be the bigger guy. At time of recording this, there are reports that DC is around 248 pounds, and Stipe normally weighs in less than that. Of course, when you're fighting a heavyweight, as long as if you're under 265, that's fine. I believe it's between 210 pounds and 265 pounds is the heavyweight limit. For me, for Stipe to win this fight, he needs to do something he doesn't normally do, and that's he needs to use his reach advantage and he needs to fight long. If you look at a lot of his fights, he comes short, he has a lot of hooks, has a lot of uppercuts. He can't really risk that against DC, who's used to fighting in these closer, smaller ranges, and when you're that close to someone like DC, he's just going to start grappling you. And that's not what Stipe wants. Despite how good Stipe's grappling may or may not be, his path to victory is clearly to keep up on the feet and knock DC out. So speaking of DC, let's have a look at his record. He's currently got a record of 20 wins, 1 loss and 1 no contest, and both that 1 loss and the no contest are to Jon Jones. DC is the current light heavyweight champion and has racked up a total of 3 title defences, the exact same amount as Stipe. Now of course we all remember back at UFC 214 he fought Jon Jones and lost by knockout because of a head kick, but unfortunately Jones popped for steroids, so that result was overturned. So in a sense it's like that never happened, but I think you can look a lot from that fight and I hope he learned from that fight. When DC fights and he's got a shot coming in, he tends to duck to his right a lot, which is why that left head kick caught him. So I'm hoping he picks up on that. I know it's a tendency he does, but I'm hoping he's not going to allow Stipe to take advantage of that tendency that he has. Now what's most interesting about DC and what some people don't know is he's actually fought the majority of his career at heavyweight. And at heavyweight he's actually beat some big names such as Sir Pelele, Antonio Bigfoot Silva, Josh Barnett, Frank Mir and Roy Nelson. Not only that, but all of those wins were just complete blowouts for DC. In fact, I don't believe that DC has ever actually lost a round while fighting at heavyweight. For me, his most impressive performance at heavyweight was against Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett, if you don't know, is a very, very good grappler and submission artist. And DC was able to just piece him up, beat him up on the ground. And at one point, he actually picked Josh Barnett, who was a good 260 pounds, picked him up over his head and slammed him down. The strength DC has, the wrestling DC has, is absolutely insane, and he's definitely going to have a grappling advantage over Stipe this Saturday night. Another thing we know about DC is that he can take a punch. Just have a look at the Rumble Johnson fights. In the first fight, Rumble landed a perfectly timed right hand, hit DC clean, DC went flying across the octagon, went down, but he got up straight away. And in the second fight with Rumble Johnson, he took a flush left head kick to the face. It didn't trouble him at all, he didn't even go down, he just ate it and went straight back into the fight. Now of course Stipe can knock DC out, but I just feel like it's going to be very hard for him to do that, and even if he rocks DC, I feel like DC is going to have a sense of mind to just shoot in for a takedown and not allow Stipe to just swarm him and knock him out like that. If Stipe wants to get the knockout, DC is going to make it very hard work for him. For me, what DC needs to do in this fight is the same as he does every fight. He needs to get in Stipe's face, he needs to use his hand speed, he needs to get him a clinch, throw those uppercuts, and he needs to wrestle him, he needs to grapple him, he needs to try and tire him out, he needs to try and break him. Even if he can't break him, he just needs to keep the pressure on and just keep winning those rounds. I definitely feel like DC has more ways to win. I feel like his main path of victory should be by decision, but of course he could get a knockout, he could get a submission. When it comes to Stipe, I only really see him winning by knockout. I can't imagine him dominating DC for 25 minutes. I can't see him wrapping up a submission. For me, kind of similar to the Ngannou-Lewis fight that we've also covered. I feel like this fight is on DC, the same way the last fight was on Derek Lewis. DC is going to have to be the one dictating the fight. He can't allow Stipe to lead. He can't allow Stipe to be fighting how he wants. DC needs to fight exactly how he wants. He needs to take Stipe out of his comfort zone. And he just needs to do what DC does. And that's grind, that's pressure, and that is to wrestle. So when it comes to predictions this fight, I really have been going back and forth on this. One day you ask me, I'll pick Stipe by knockout. The next day I'll pick a DC TKO win. It's so hard to decide. But I'm finally going to make a pick, and that is going to be a DC unanimous decision victory. As good as Stipe is, I just feel like DC has more tools. I think there's a very good chance of DC actually coming into this fight bigger than Stipe, I think is absolutely huge, no pun intended. The fact that he's going to have the size over him is just crazy, it's going to really help with his grappling, and I just think he's going to be able to out-wrestle Stipe. He might even be able to get a late finish if Stipe gasses out, because we saw in the Ngannou fight, Stipe did start to gas out, just not as bad as Francis. And to my knowledge, I've never really seen DC gas out. So again, my prediction for this fight is going to be a DC unanimous decision victory.
All right, so this fight will go to a decision. We should have a clear winner in this one. You never know with those scorecards, of course, but in all likelihood, this will be a unanimous decision after a most dominant effort here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecard for decision. The judges score the contest 49-46, 48-47, and 49-46. Declaring the winner by unanimous decision, and still the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Stipe Miocic.
So on our EA Sports UFC 3 simulation of Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier, we had a Stipe Miocic unanimous decision win. And if you're planning on watching this fight, let us know in the comments down below, either on YouTube, Facebook or Twitter, and let us know your prediction and we can see if anyone gets it right after the fight. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, and as always, to see more videos coming soon, please subscribe to the channel.